Episode 19, American Hammers TV. Pardon the technical stuffy, but we are remote. I'm remote. I'm not. I'm in Dallas with Wayne from Dallas Hammers.
Way.
And Lee is, my co-host as always. And tonight we have a special guest from Chicago. We have, introduce yourself, guys. So there's three of you tonight. So introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I'm John Novick. Glad to be here. Matt.
I can't really hear him very well, Tim. Sorry. Hey, Tom.
You want to have him do it again?
Yeah. You know what? Can you mute yourself when you're not talking? That might help.
Me, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hold on one second. All right. Introduce yourself.
We'll go again. How you doing? I'm John. Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Hey guys, my name's Matt. Here from Chicago. Good to be here tonight.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Justin. Nice to meet you guys.
Hey, nice to meet you. Glad you guys are here. I finally got Tim to shut up. No, I'm just kidding. No, he's down in Dallas. He's gonna watch the game with the Dallas Hammers tomorrow down at their pub up north of Dallas. So that's cool. It's actually my hometown, but he's the one who's down there. So he's having a good time. I trust he's having a good time. Wayne's down there with him. Wayne's a good dude. I don't know if you saw him on our show probably about a month ago. Yeah, he's a good guy. Anyway, welcome. Chicago is one of my favorite cities. I've got a friend who lives on Lakeshore Drive, swanky apartment on Lakeshore Drive. Got a cousin up in a town called Belvedere up near Rockford, home of Cheap Trick. Yeah, so I've spent a little time in Chicago and I love it. I think it's fantastic. So I'm really glad you're on. I heard at least one Chicago accent out of three of you guys. So I'm guessing somebody's a Chicago native and somebody else sounds more like an East London native. Is that right?
I'm probably going to be guilty of the Chicago accent. I'm just guessing. Yeah. That's me, John.
Yeah, I think John has more of the South Side accent. Yeah. I'm from the North Side of Chicago, and the East London accent is.
Yeah, that's all me. Yeah, I'm the immigrant in the group. I'm the transplant. Yeah.
So North Side, South Side? Is there? Do you guys watch baseball at all, or like a Cubs White Sox thing, or?
Right now, actually,
yeah, we're on the north side. The Cubs game's on right over your head.
Oh, is that right? Very good.
To you,
it's true. Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah, I got to turn. I'm going to turn my phone off. I got people texting me about the Bruins playoff game that's going on. So they can't spoil. I don't want them to spoil it for me. I got other stuff to do first. So why don't you guys tell us? I'm sorry, Max, right? You're in the middle. Did you say Matt or Max?
Matt, yeah.
Okay. So obviously you are a native. You're an East London guy. Probably a pretty good, easy story as to how you got into West Ham. But how about the other two of you guys? Why don't you guys start? Either one, whoever wants to start. Tell us how you got into the club.
Well, about 10 years ago. I mean, I'm a Chicago guy. Travel helped a little bit. Going to London helped a little bit. But when I went to visit the Boleyn, it was a summer. No game going on. Wife talked the kid into giving us a little tour of the stadium during a wedding, and he actually brought us onto the field, which was mind blowing.
Yeah.
Wow.
The neighborhood around it really reminded me of the South Side neighborhood I grew up in. And as a Cub fan, you really do get used to history and passion and losing and struggle. Disappointment, and so the neighborhood reminded me of my own upbringing, and it just captured my imagination. I wanted to know more, and 10 years ago, a lot of Americans were starting to pay attention to soccer, and I was part of that group, really. But I wouldn't look back. I mean, to me, it's good. We got great friends. We got a great pub in Chicago. Mm-hmm. We get 25, 30 on a good weekend match
awesome.
day.
Yeah, that's a good number. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
I've mixed you up already. I'm really sorry. So Justin,
Yeah.
that's your okay. So how about you? What's your story?
Yeah. So in college, I was friends with the soccer team at my school. They were my best friends, and so obviously they were into soccer, and a lot of them had either an MLS team or a Premier League team or a European team of some kind that they rooted for. And as I woke up on Saturday mornings with them, I wanted a team as well, but I didn't want to pick like a United or a City or a Chelsea. So I took my time selecting it, and I thought to myself, I wanted a team that had a similar style, background, vibe to my favorite team in America, which are the Cubs as well. And so going back to what John was saying, they had a lot in common in that they didn't win a lot. I know that changed for the Cubs recently, but before I picked West Ham before 2016, so didn't win a lot of heartbreak, a lot of frustration. But I realized that they had flats where you could see part of the game.
Yep.
When they were at the Bolin, of course, and so that were the rooftops where you could watch the baseball games at Wrigley before they put on the scoreboard. So that was sort of like the clincher for me. And I started watching it, but really the cherry on top, so to speak, was when I moved back to Chicago after college and started hanging out with these guys. And it just helps the passion is easily developed when you're with like people that become your friends and that you have a common ground to share Saturdays on and have a pint or two. And so that really spurred on the passion. And then a couple years later, I'm diehard.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's where'd you go to school? Where'd you go to college?
I went to college in St. Paul, Minnesota, a small school called McAllister College.
Yeah. I've heard of it. I know it. Company I work for has an office in Minnetonka. So
okay.
Yeah, we have some McAllister grads there. Yeah. Did you guys play a college called Hamline or something like that?
Hamline, yeah. I didn't really like Hamline that much.
I got a buddy who played. I have a friend who played there. Who played soccer there, actually. I have a friend who played soccer there, but I think he's a little bit younger than you are. But
I actually didn't play soccer. I was the only one out of the group that didn't play soccer.
Yeah.
The time I played competitive soccer was like in 5th grade.
Yeah, me too.
There, so but yeah, it's ironic because basketball's fine, but I don't really watch it. I watch a lot more soccer now. So
yeah. I haven't played competitive soccer since I was 12, and I coach my son's team now. He's 8 years old, and you can really tell when I'm out there trying to play with the kids that I haven't played competitive soccer since I was 12. It's very noticeable, and he loves to point it out too. He loves to point out how terrible I am at it. So.
Right.
Nice. So Matt, you're an East London guy. So you grew up there. So did you go to matches growing up?
I did. I had a season ticket for a very long time. My first game was August of 1992. We lost 1-0 to Charlton. And I had a season ticket for a long time. I used to sell the fanzine Overland and Sea outside of the ground when I was about 13, 14. I started doing that. That meant I got to go to loads of away games because the bloke that ran that, he would go to every away game. Gary Firmager, and he was just with him. So I've been up and down really, and and then I moved here in February of 2013, and that's kind of where this all the Chicago Hammers kind of started really, and it's been now we meet every week, and it's a really good. We got a really nice group of lads down here.
So why did you start then? Like, so back in 2013, was it just that you wanted other hammers to join with, or was it what caused the whole creation of the Chicago Hammers?
That's a good question. I would say, well, what happened was I came over. I immigrated in February 2013, and I was looking on Facebook. I was looking on social media. I couldn't find anything. I've got some family members that work at the club, and you know, there was a New York group, and there was a group in Los Angeles, and there was a group in Boston, and but I couldn't find anything in Chicago. So there's a pub in the city, the Globe, which is been around for a long time, right? And it's
Arguably the biggest in
it was traditionally a big soccer pub. So I basically turned up there in a West Ham shirt my first weekend and bumped into John, and it was me and you and two others maybe, 2 or 3 others, and then I said, "Oh, what's happening here? Is there a supporters group?" And there wasn't really. It was just kind of 3 or 4 people huddled around one TV in the corner of a pub, and I don't know. We got a Facebook page going, a Twitter page going, and it kind of went from there, really, didn't it? You know?
Yeah.
And that's how I found you guys too when I moved back. Like the first thing I did when I moved back home after school was look on Facebook and found the email address associated with the account, emailed him. The first game I went to the pub at was that 2-0 Arsenal victory at the beginning of the last season of the Bowen.
Yeah.
Yep. That was when Noble cracked that smile in the press conference, right?
Yeah.
Like a little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were good then, wasn't it? It was good then, wasn't it? That year it was a good year, then,
So Justin, you and John, you guys, how did you guys knew each other prior to meeting Matt? You were going to the pub together already, or?
No, I met Matt and John through, and actually I remember it very clearly. I wanted to get to the Arsenal game a bit early to just meet some of the guys. It was actually Matt and John I'm just remembering this now. They were the 2 guys there, the first 2 guys I met. I just remembered that actually. But yeah, I didn't know either of these guys until I came to the pub that we go to, AJ Hudson's, for the first.
And how did you find it?
Again, I just looked on Facebook. I was looking at Chicago supporters and found them on Facebook. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep.
So what's your situation in Chicago? It's AJ Hudson's. Where is that? What part of town's that in?
You're the expert on the town.
It's a great pub. I mean, the Globe is where the group kind of started, but there were 3 or 4 of us begging for a television, as Matt said.
Yeah.
Really, when Matt came social media and his work with the club to get recognized as an official supporters club, really it just took off. And we went to Hudson's where we didn't have to have this every week, this Dickinsonian sort of please me. We have one time, even without sound, anything. We'll take black and white, rabbit ears, whatever you got. Has given us a wall. We can hang what we want. Guaranteed TV, guaranteed sound, great service. We treat everybody well. They like our club. Mm-hmm. They like the people that come out every weekend to support the Hammers.
That's great.
It's in Lakeview. It's about roughly a mile north of Wrigley Field and half a mile west. But it's in a neighborhood called Lakeview.
Yeah.
All right.
And they've been very good to us. Like I said, we moved from the Globe, which is traditionally the football pub in the city, but we're at Hudson's now. We share it there. Liverpool are there. There's a lot of them. City are there. There's a lot of them. Celtic are there. Madrid are there. Juventus are there.
So it's a big. It sounds like a big place. It sounds like a pretty big place, right? I mean, it must be big enough to accommodate everybody.
Yeah, it's got a back room too. So you walk in, and then there's like the bar and all these tables, and then you have to like go around the bar, and then there's a whole other. I don't know if you mentioned even Celtic are there. Marseille has a supporters group there.
PSG.
Marseille, really?
Yeah, Marseille does. Yeah.
PSG.
Wow.
Chelsea used to, but they
That's
got kicked out for being
twats.
idiots. Yeah, they were not the Chelsea. I'll say it. The Chelsea Chicago supporters are
a special breed.
Yeah. We'll say that.
Special bunch. Don't play well with others. So
no.
Wait, they got booted out? They got booted out of the pub?
Yeah.
Only because the thing with them is that only because the argument with them was they wanted
more wall space, right?
No, they wanted an ice luge to do shots off of.
Hold on.
Yeah. Do you not know that?
No, I thought it was more wall. They wanted more wall space.
They wanted to put an ice luge in, and he went.
You're
No, it's 100%.
Really?
Yeah, and he wanted to keep it in the freezer, and the pub was like, no, you can't do that. So they threw their toys out the pram and they left.
That just gives you an idea of who these types of people are.
We're very different
Yeah.
people.
That's a pretty douchey crowd that demands an ice luge to do shots out of.
Yeah,
I mean,
on a Saturday morning, you know, I'm sure
like-
maybe these things happen all the time, in some places. But on a Saturday morning when you're playing Watford, an ice luge is a bit of a stretch.
Well, they can't have a pint. I mean, is it going to kill them to have a pint like everybody else? They got to have an ice luge. See, they've got. I'm sure they all became Chelsea supporters after 2003, like after the money,
Yeah, and I was just about to say, I don't know how many times I got asked by those guys, why are you a West Ham fan? Is it because you saw Green Street Hooligans? And they're giving me shit for. Can I swear on this show?
Too late. Keep going.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
They're giving me shit for being a West Ham fan, and I'm like, you're a Chelsea fan since you like no earlier than 2005, right? So
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyways, they're not worth talking about. But
What was it, 3 years ago? They had a terrible start, and we beat
Yeah,
them
they
2-1.
Yeah.
We were going around the pub. They were still at Hudson's, and we were comforting them, like,
Andy
don't
Carroll
give
was
up,
the
keep
winner.
trying.
Yeah.
Now they're it was great.
It was
so
great, yeah.
much
I
fun.
think they were like 16th after that.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, they had a terrible start to the season. That was
Yeah, Mourinho got sacked.
Yeah.
That might have been. I can't remember if that was our Payet season or not. Maybe it was the season
That
after.
was the first Payet season.
Oh God.
Yeah, the great season. So you guys are so you get 25, 30 guys or 25, 30 people.
Yeah.
So how do you stack up against some of the other supporters groups there? Are you like one of the bigger ones, smaller ones?
I would say Newcastle were probably about on par. They get about
I
25,
think
30.
we're more than Newcastle.
City, it depends. I think with City, it depends with them. I think sometimes big games they'll have a big. I think with us, we have a regular turnout. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Man United, is an 11:30 kickoff here at the weekend. We'll get 40, 45, 50 for that.
Yeah.
Because of the time and
Because of the time,
and it's
and the
Man
opponent.
United and
Right.
that's the thing. I mean, Liverpool here though. I mean, they must have what?
Oh yeah.
150, 200.
Yeah,
Every
Liverpool.
week.
Liverpool's the biggest group in the pub. Yeah.
Yeah.
By far.
Liverpool everywhere. It's the same in Boston. Liverpool everywhere. I mean, well, yeah, it's a huge contingent.
Right?
It's not the same in Dallas. Liverpool sucks down here. Totally sucks. I have to say that. And now I've actually got a word in Edgeways League.
Jump in whenever you want. No, jump in whenever you want. I just
I will say you guys really treated some of our Dallas people fantastically when they came up about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
And we really appreciate that.
Of course.
And how on earth did you get onto selling the OLAS?
Me.
Yeah.
I basically walked up to him and said, "Can I have a job?" I mean, there's nothing really flash about it. I walked up to Gary. I had a season ticket for a long time. He was always up on his ladder, selling it. So anyone that doesn't know, Gary Firmage used to be there week in, week out. He used to publish a little
So you
magazine.
stand on a little
Stood on a ladder. Yeah, if you've seen any of the documentaries about the last season of Bowling, he was a real face, a real character at the ground. And I might have been 14, and I said, "Can I have a job?" And he said, "Yeah," and that was it. And that took me up and down the country. I've been all over. I've been lucky enough to go all over the place really. So, fun times.
so you went to the away. You sold it at the away games too.
Yeah, away games you would go and you would sell it again. So I've been to.
And how did you feel when Gary actually stopped doing it when everything moved to the Olympic Stadium? It had to be pretty traumatic.
I mean, gutting really. I mean, there was a bloke who had been going. I think he hadn't missed a game since 1992 or 19. Something obscene like that. He'd never missed a game, and he said that when we moved, that it would rip the heart and soul out of the club. I mean, everyone's got their debate on that. who knows? But I'd love to see it back, because I think if anyone ever read it, or it was fantastic. It was a chance for, and it came out before Facebook came out, and it came out before Twitter, and it was just a chance for fans to have their say. So if people would like to see him come back, but there you go. But it was a real institution at West Ham, and I think it's just one of those things that nowadays doesn't exist. Hopefully, the club will think about bringing some of that back, with the atmosphere around the ground and whatnot. But who knows? It's just going to take. It just takes time.
The atmosphere the atmosphere inside the ground is phenomenal. I mean, I hear a bunch of people bitching about it all the time, but I was there for 2 matches last season, and it was an absolute, just phenomenal experience. I mean, I still play the videos I took to this day on my phone, and I show people, I'm like, listen to this. It was the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life. I mean, it's not a thing about there being no atmosphere in the stadium. The stadium, yes, there should be some changes made. We all agree on that. And yes, there can be changes made to the stadium. It's Stratford. Stratford fucking sucks. That's what needs to change. There's there's maybe like 7 or 8 awesome pubs that people go to, they congregate, they plan, they move on to they walk together to the match. It's phenomenal, but it's a mile-long walk for some of these pubs, and that sucks. It's not the way it was in the Bowl, which I wasn't there, but I just, from what I heard.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, they either need to redevelop, or it's Stratford. That's the problem, not the stadium. The stadium is fine for now. They just need to perform. They can't put out shit teams like Obiang and fucking Cuckafuck and all these other people who we never heard of, and get smashed by teams that we should have beat.
Yeah.
If the results happen, then we will win, and then everybody will be happy. But even when we're not happy, the crowd still sings Bubbles, and it's loud as fuck. You can hear it from fucking West London. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I say a lot of times that if we had the results that we did in the last Berlin season, in the first season in the Olympic Stadium, no one would be. I mean, yeah, you'd have your people that we're leaving our home, and I get that, but winning cures all, and I totally agree with you. If we start winning more games, then people, even people this year have been saying a little bit, it's starting to slowly become our home. We had a decent home record this year, so like Matt said, I think it's going to take time, but at the end of the day, the time it's going to take the necessary time it's going to take will decrease if we win more and more. So I agree with you on that.
I think one of the things as well is just one of those things where, like, honestly, what gets me, I think if you look at as much as I hate to say it, what Spurs have done building a brand new stadium.
That's beautiful.
And it is not, I mean, it is nice. I know it's full of complete twats, but it is nice.
It is nice.
I just think maybe that's what we should have done. I mean, I don't know, but the point is, it's done, right? It's done. So what we're going to do? We can sit here now for the next 97
we'll be
years.
dead
and moan about this and moan about that. We got to get on with it, and I think you're right. Winning cures all.
Yeah.
And we said the other week as well. Some of the games some weeks we beat some people, and we beat Arsenal this season. We beat some teams, Liverpool, and in other games. And you were saying the other week, it's just losing to tin pot teams. It's a killer.
Cardiff,
but that's the way. Maybe that's the way it's always been. Whether we were at the bowling or whether we were at the Olympic Stadium. So I don't know. The team's the same.
Yeah,
the team's the same.
It's about the results, really. Yeah, I don't think anybody would complain if we were getting the results. I don't think anybody would complain, and I think the atmosphere would be fine, and the distance from the pitch would be fine, and everything else. If we were a top 6 club, which is kind of what we were supposed to be with this move, right? I mean, that was the expectation. I don't think anybody would be complaining, and another thing is, Matt, I'm sure you remember this, when we talked to several people who, are English natives, like Wayne, for instance, or John from Vegas, or there have been a couple of other guys we've talked to. I mean, they went to the Bowl-In when there were like 15,000 people there. You know, I mean, it wasn't always packed. There wasn't always a great atmosphere. There were games when nobody cared. There were games when there was no atmosphere. It wasn't like all, you know, the way people remember it being.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what were you going to say about
I
stadiums?
was just going to say what he just said. You said it beautifully, man. Thank you. That, you know, stadiums are funny in that until you leave them, you don't get too sentimental about them.
Yeah.
I mean, 20, 30 years ago, it's kind of like Wrigley Field in Chicago. I mean, it's been a rat-infested dump for most of its history with a bad team. And then you talk about changing it or moving, then it's a cathedral you must protect.
Right. Well, it happened in Boston with Fenway Park. There was the Red Sox were going to move out of Fenway Park in the late 90s, and there was this big Save Fenway Park movement, and then the new owners, who also now own Liverpool, of course, they fixed it up a little bit. And then they bought a team that won in Fenway Park. So, and Fenway's a dump. It's nicer than it was 20 years ago, but it's still a dump.
Yeah.
And the seats are small, and it's hard to get into and out of, and I hate it. But I mean, it's now that it's untouchable. So the thing, I mean, maybe we could have rebuilt the stadium. I don't know. But the fact is, if we had to, if we wanted to keep up with Arsenal, Tottenham, Manchester City, Chelsea, etc., we needed a 55,000, 60,000 seat stadium. And it was sitting there, for cheap because somebody else built it.
It was sitting there, but they could have, at that point, torn it down. Not now, not 2 years from now, not 5 years from now. It could have already done that, because now it's going to be more expensive. Now you need that Russian billionaire or that Saudi Arabian oligarch, sand, money oil, whatever they call it, money guy. Anyway, you need money to do that now, which we don't have. Sorry.
We would need money to be top 6, right? I mean, so it doesn't really matter.
Not just that. That is the plan. So that's the plan. But at the same time, so we basically need that plus a guy to demo the stadium and start from scratch. Where are we going to play in the meantime while it's built? We're going to go to Wembley now.
Wembley.
No,
Wembley's not a home. Wembley's not a home. You know what I'm saying? So it's close enough. But at the same time, like what? We're going to walk from the Carpenter's Arms, Queen's Head, or even the Bowl-In for that matter, all the way to Wembley? That's what Tottenham did. It worked out for them, but at the same time, it's not something we have planned on. So
we'll do a ground share with Leyton Orient.
We'll do a ground share, yeah. But here's the one last thing. No, hold on. They talked about this. Hold on. They talked about this Olympic Stadium move since before they got relegated.
It's true.
So this has been a long time. So if you're talking demoing and moving to a new stadium or building a new stadium, that's going to take even longer.
Yeah.
Because this was already there.
Here's the deal. Sullivan has always been Del Boy. He has always planned to move into the Olympic Stadium.
Sure.
The City of London's never, ever going to make money out of that place. We're going to end up buying it, and then it'll end up turning it into something decent. Then when he turns it into something decent, he'll sell the club to somebody who can actually afford to run a Premier League team. And then we'll have a decent team.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I think you're right. Sullivan, it's funny that his name is Sullivan, because there was a guy who ran the New England Patriots for 40 years named Billy Sullivan, who never really had the money to run an NFL franchise. And they were garbage for several decades. So I think you're right. I think with David Sullivan, it's the same idea. I do think we'll buy it eventually at some discount price.
Yeah.
And then they can turn around and you know what? Then they can sell the team. But I have to be honest with you. I mean, one of the reasons I support West Ham is because we've never won the league. And to me, if you're an American fan and you're going to support a club, if the club's going to pick you, because I don't really think you pick your club, I think the club picks you.
Yeah.
The club that picked me was the one that's never been any good. I mean, relatively speaking, right? We mostly been in the top flight over the last, however many years, and that's pretty darn good. I could have supported Bolton or somebody, I suppose, but I mean, right? But or Leyton Orient for that matter. But I mean, generally speaking, to me, there's a lot of appeal in saying I got into the ground floor of West Ham. I could always say I was West Ham before we were any good if we ever become any good. And the other thing is, I would have mixed emotions about a huge money bag buyout. I would love the winning and the competitiveness and the players, but I think I would miss some of the like spirit of the club and some of the camaraderie that you get with fans because I've always said, when you meet a West Ham fan, you're meeting a person of character because you're meeting somebody who's loyal, who will stick with the club through thick and thin, who will stick with you through thick and thin. You don't know what you're getting with Chelsea or Manchester City or Manchester United. You don't know who those people are. They could be anybody, If it's somebody's one of us, it's somebody with some character. And I would hate for that to go away. And I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, it would be bittersweet to have 500 people show up in the Banshee at Boston to watch West Ham instead of 5. Great on one hand, but kind of crap on the other.
I think that's the thing with us as well as a supporters club here, and I mean, you guys have both been to New York and have watched at the Smithfield and whatever else. I think it's one of those things where everybody knows everyone. When they come and walk into Hudson's, like we know everybody. We've been to people's, whatever, birthday parties or nights out or whatever else. Like people know everyone. I think it's one of those things where if you are a member of the Scout supporters group in this city, you're just a number. I mean, with us, it's a bit more. It's a bit, we know, we take the time to know each other, and I would argue that's what it's like as a club. As a club anyway. People do know each other because they do go work together. They do. Their kids go to the same school, or you went to the same school. Like it's a small, tight knit community back home, and then really that replicates itself over here. Just because, almost, why would you choose it? These days, have got to choose. Why would you bother? It's rubbish. It's up and down. We're not going to win nothing.
It chooses you. It chooses you. That's why it chose me. I tried for a long time not to be West Ham. I would watch Paolo Di Canio and I think, what a fantastic player. And I love the colors and I love the songs and everything else. But I was like, but I don't want to do this. And then I sort of gave in because I couldn't help it. And besides, we have the best fans, The more fans you meet from other clubs, the more you like our fans. That was my experience, especially when I lived in Europe for a little while. But our experience doing this show, look at all the people who have come on with us. You guys are on with us. This is like our 18th, 19th, 20th episode with people from different cities in the U.S. Well, I think we've had 2 with New York, but you understand. We had Holly Worthington from West Ham TV. We had Mike Manera, who does Mike on Monday on YouTube, who's like a former comedian. We're setting up times to talk to authors of 2 different books who've written books about West Ham. And it's like, contact them, and they come right back to you. And they're just like, yeah, sure, whenever. When can I do it? I don't think that's going to happen if you're dealing with Manchester United or Chelsea or, and you're sitting out there saying like, oh, well, I'm one of the billion fans of Manchester United. Everybody wants a piece of that. But with us, I think if there's a sense like if you're brave enough to be West Ham, then, it's like you're part of a tighter knit community.
Definitely. I think that, we've been, like I said, we've been lucky to replicate that with the same people turn up week in, week, or same people, same idiots, whatever you want to say, turning up week in, week out to watch us, lose to Bournemouth one week and then beat Arsenal or whatever it is. So, but that's, maybe that's more interesting. I don't know. And I think the thing about this season as well is that I looked at that squad at the start of the season, and I really thought we were going to do things this year. I thought we are seventh or eighth definitely. And you look at the bench week in, week out. Adrian is our reserve goalkeeper. Obiang is on the bench. You've got Masuaku is on the bench. That 5, 6, 7. Even when we started this, in 2012, and you've got all sorts of dross on the bench. I thought we were going to make a go of it, didn't you?
Kevin Nolan was our best player at one point.
Yeah,
right.
Captain. He did a job, but
he did. Yeah.
And that's the thing about this season. Is sometimes I think. And you look at the teams ahead of us in the table, and I don't know where it's gone wrong and I worry sometimes when we spend all that money and we've got in Pellegrini, who is a top manager and has done it at the top level. Is this it? Is this our ceiling? I don't know. I'd like to think not, but sometimes you think we spent millions, tens and tens of millions in the summer. We bought in Anderson and we bought Lanzini was already there. We Arnautovic, and is this it? Is this as good as it gets? I don't, you're on the list.
Don't feel so bad about it. I was reading, I can't remember where I was reading it just this afternoon, and they did a comparison between us, Watford, and Wolves. And the last 3 seasons, even though we spent an absolute fortune this year, Wolves and Watford had spent more money than us over the last 3 seasons. We've got ways to go.
I believe that about Wolves. Wolves have some money. Wolves have some money. Yeah.
My thing is that one question for you, Matt, especially, what was the reaction at the pub the last 2 matches? Like, in all honesty, like, how did you guys react? And then also, how did everybody feel when they left the pub? Because that was trying times.
I mean, I would just say, I think the minute we secured safety, half the team went on vacation. In their mind out. They were just like, we're done. We did our job. Mid-table, there's nothing to play for. We're good. And that's bad. You got to find out who those guys are and get them out. That was my reaction.
It's been like that. That goes back to Alan Kirbishley. That goes back as far as, I mean, you go back 15 years with West Ham, and it's the same way. As soon as we're safe, we just quit. You know, I mean, I remember Kirb's teams doing that in like 2007, 2008, around that time. And then we struggled to be safe, you know, after that. We had some seasons when we didn't make it. We went down and obviously had to come back up. But Allardyce was the same way. I mean, every manager we've had that I can remember, the 2 things that are the most notable to me are we're very inconsistent. Again, same thing, the West Ham way, go out and beat Arsenal, beat Manchester United, lose to Burnley, lose to Watford. And the other thing is hit 40 points or 42 points and then like, okay, done, we're done. We quit, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a player, honestly, outside of Noble, maybe Snodgrass when he's out there, because I do think he puts forth the effort. Declan Rice, I don't know who else. I mean, how many of our players even look like they care right now? 4 or 5 at the most? Fabianski?
So my point was with the Everton match, especially, was I was asking those guys, if you guys can still hear me, what was the reaction? Like, how did you guys feel after that? Watching, not only that, but the lineup. Hearing the starting lineup, like last minute.
Yeah, no, I was even telling some of the guys that I was talking. I didn't understand why I was there, to be honest. I believe Chicharito was on the bench that game, and he had just scored a brace. And and I didn't understand that.
Nope.
And so that was one thing. And then anytime I said it like 5 minutes ago. I don't know if you guys heard me, but anytime Obiang is in there, I know our midfield is going to be slow. I mean, listen, I can make the passes that he makes.
Yes.
You know, like, am I as good of a soccer player as he is? No, I'm not. But I'm
no, but I coach 8-year-olds who make passes like that.
No, 90%
better
of
passes.
the passes he makes, I could make that pass 9 times out of 10. Because it's a 10-yard back pass. It's a 10-yard sideways pass.
Right. And watch him. He came on against Chelsea, which just leave Noble out there. I mean, just play with 10 men. I don't know. Obiang is a liability when he comes on the pitch. When he came on, we sat there in the Banshee in Boston and we said, "Oh man, like we're not even trying."
So when we watched that match, the first thing that came to my head was, okay, so it looks like the instructions are to make sure all the players do not touch Hazard, that they stand on their feet, they do not foul anybody, because Chelsea is known for, tossing over a little bit, easy, right? And it clearly happened when, the play that we're all talking about, the first Hazard goal, he shouldn't have gone all the way through. Mark Noble made a complete stop, and not just Mark Noble. I mean, he made the clearest complete stop. The defense, they also stopped. He was there. But that's not the point. The point is, then why the heck would he? If that was the case, if Pellegrini did say, you know what, don't touch him, stay on your feet, blah blah blah, just make sure you don't foul anybody. Why did they bring in Obiang? Obiang is the fouling king of foulers, man. I mean, he's the sloppiest defender in the world.
Hazard goal. Everyone stayed on their feet, and he just, zigzagged through everyone. So that I know that happens. He's a world-class player, but
Noble's got to make that challenge. To me, Noble's got to make that challenge.
yeah.
I mean, I think with the to be fair, I think the Everton game, if the cynical West Ham fan in me says that Perez and Obiang and them players on the pitch because they're going in the summer and he wants a shop window, he's looking at them and say, listen, go out there, and he's saying to those kids, those lads out there, listen, put in a good shift, and we'll see how we go, and maybe we'll make the team next year, or good shift, and then you can move on. Because listen, Obiang knows that he shouldn't be on the bench. And actually, I reckon as a squad player, he is too good. He's up and down. But when he's on his game, he's on his game. He's just too inconsistent. Perez, I mean, we paid £4 million for him, squad player. He wants to move this, that, and the other. That's the reason they were out there, because, and that worries me a little bit, is because if that's, and I don't, this is all guessing games, but if Pellegrini's mentality is the season's over, let's put you in a shop window. I mean, I don't know.
I think he started doing that weeks ago. I still say my conspiracy theory, my hot take, and I know Wayne disagrees with me, and I hope he's right, but I don't think Pellegrini ever wanted to finish 7th. I don't think they wanted to go into Europa League, because it's not. You have to go off to Estonia and play like Tallinn United in late July. They don't want to do that. All it does is cost money. It doesn't make any money. It costs money. It's not proper Europe. It's not like you're going to recruit a great player by saying, "Oh, hey, come to Romania. Come to Romania on August 1st and play Europa League qualified." Nobody wants to do that. I think the reason we failed to go 7th, like literally 5 or 6 times, is because they don't want to. And every time we got close, they would do something like go out and lose to Cardiff 2-0. Or they would play a match like Everton. We could have gone 7th after Everton. They showed no interest in that game.
But don't you think
I think right. I think he's putting players in the shop window, and I think they're just like, you know what, let's just get out of here.
Yeah, but don't you think at a certain point, like, you're a professional, it's a matter of pride. You're getting paid thousands and tens of thousands. Some of these guys, hundreds of thousands of pounds. More money in a week than I see in a year, some 2 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, listen, at the same time, if I'm a player and maybe the hierarchy doesn't care if they make Europe like 7th place because it may cost more money to get to Estonia or Latvia or wherever, I get that. As a player, I want to. It's a privilege.
But that's what makes us West Ham fans. Okay, that's the difference between the West Ham fans and Manchester United fans and anybody else, really. That's what we care about across the board. That's our mentality as people and as fans. But that's not the players' mentality.
I mean, I want to go to those places. I mean, the birds over there, their mustaches and their beards are wonderful.
We'd all have a chance, right? That's the point. We'd all have a chance. Yeah. No, that's yeah. I mean, they do. The women in Romania do have a lot of facial hair. That's actually true. I'm not making that up. That's true. But no, but who plays for the badge? Do what?
I'm just wondering what you think of Arnie right now. What's up with Arnautovic?
Well, I thought he actually tried against Chelsea. I thought the only times we had any chances to score in the second half were when he was up top.
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, we need attacking players. We need strikers. But I think that guy's a cancer, and I don't see how he can stay. I just don't. I think he's a cancer. I think everything he told what he told in January, he's been a cancer.
Wayne and I were talking about this earlier. So basically, he is a cancer, but Raven said that he played well. He definitely played probably his best match this year so far. He gave effort. You could see him running. Me and when we were in Boston, we were saying, man, I've never seen Arnautovic run so much.
No, his best match has been around January, yeah. His best match in the last 3-4 months, yeah, definitely.
Correct. But at the same time, we all know he's already gone. His deal to China's already happened. He's gone. He's done.
But how much of that really had something to do with what Pellegrini said in the week about, listen, Don't boo the guy. Give him a chance. Get behind him. Shouldn't we be getting behind a player when he's not playing his best game and saying, hey, come on, we know you're capable of it, do it? Is some of that responsibility ours as fans?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. But on the other hand, I mean, when the guy waves goodbye, when he seems to, his brother is trying to, get him off to end his career in China. If a guy's in a slump, that's different, right? If you want to get behind him and say, hey, you can snap out of this. We're behind you. We love you. You're our guy. If a guy has a bad game.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened here, I don't think. What do you guys think?
I mean,
The Cubs are winning 2-0, by the way. Just
2-0.
We're watching. It's on. It's raining. I mean, I think that should we get behind him? It's difficult. That I mean,
I say yes.
If he plays, and again, like you said about results matter, if he plays well, no one gives a shit. Honestly, he can stay and do what he likes. If he's scoring goals, whatever.
But obviously not, because he was scoring goals and playing well, and then he wanted to leave for China, and then the fans went up in an upward because he wanted to leave.
But anyone
because it was Payet syndrome essentially, because everyone was thinking about Payet. Everyone's like, oh, Payet, and this.
We have PTSD from Payet. I think we have PTSD. I really do.
Traumatic syndrome.
Yeah, no, I do.
I wanted to quadruple his salary. I mean, any one of us would want to do that, and I understand.
I would too.
Different, but it's like.
But at the same time, I would say after Payet left, after what happened, I would have taken him back because of the player he was. I tell you what's a better question.
I'll take it back right now.
Oh, of course. I tell you, let's say someone comes in. Let's say someone in the summer, someone comes in with a £25 million bid for Arnautovic. I'd like to go around now. Would you take it? Would you take it? Yes or no?
Yes, I'd take the money.
Would you take it? 25 million in the summer.
Absolutely, yes, in a heartbeat.
Dallas.
I think they're saying yes. I don't know why they're not telling us, but they're saying yes. Yeah.
£25 million Arnautovic.
No.
Why?
No, because unless he comes to me and says he really wants to leave, then he's like I don't want to play for West Ham anymore. Then okay, fine. But if he doesn't say that, keep him. I think keep him. I really do, because I think he can still bring 10 goals a year, 5 assists a year, like he did last the season prior. And I think worth £25 million or more.
The only problem with that scenario is that £25 million would be a great return for him. But then our owners would go spend the money on they bring in like 10 45-year-old players on loan.
No, but did you hear that?
Yeah, maybe Jack Wilshere. How about
they're
right.
Transfer policy now.
Yeah,
they're not focusing on old players with high wages, but going to young players with lower wages.
Well, that's even cheaper. It's even cheaper.
So I would rather have, like right now, just for next season, like we're just booking it right now. I'd rather have Robin Van Persie in his 42-year-old career. I'd rather have Dimitri back than, or even Fred, the old Brazilian, not the new Fred, the old Fred, the guy from the Fluminense. It's scored 8,000 million goals, like better than anybody in the whole world. But he's like 42 years old. I'd rather have them all than have Arnautovic for the season.
I mean, as well with Arnautovic on his way out, and you look at the squad, and it has been a very strong, but I think it's been a very good squad this year. But at the same time, I mean, for me at least, Masuaku has got to go. Obiang will have to go. Lucas will go. Adrian will. I love Adrian.
I do too. I love him because I think he loves West Ham.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think
he's not quite good enough to be a Premier League keeper full time. He's just not good enough to play 38 Premier League games. I don't think.
He's better than Darren Randolph. So fuck you.
I don't know why we've invoked the name of Darren Randolph, but yeah, okay, he's better than Darren Randolph. Sure. No, I love it. No, listen, Adrian's a great, when he threw off the gloves in that FA Cup match against Everton, that's one of the great moments of my West Ham, life. To me, he's not quite good enough to be long-term, reliable Premier League 30 catch per season keeper.
But instead of buying these older players like a Samir Nasri, for example, who, by the way, when he's been playing, he's been very good.
I think he's excellent.
But this is his third injury in.
I know.
These older players, like Zabaleta, his first year when he was with us, phenomenal. Love Zab, still do love Zaba, but now you see his legs going. Yeah. Don't you? I feel like this club needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. That means reinvesting more into the youth academy. Where are all those young stars that used to be sold off all the time? The Joe Coles, the Rio Ferdinands, the Michael Carricks, the Frank Lampards. We don't have anybody of that quality coming up anymore. Declan Rice.
Only Declan, and we know about him. Yeah. And the rest, you're right.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess it's kind of largely been disappointing.
Yeah.
Diangana's possible.
Yeah,
I like Diangana.
Although I think he needs to,
get it away.
I've only been a true West Ham fan for about 5 years, so I'm not trying to speak like I'm.
It's long enough. It's long enough.
Yeah, but my point, I just think the transfer policy. The view on who we're going to buy needs to change. And I think it's slowly starting to, but I think there's a lot of work to go.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think we're a million miles away.
I know. I'm gonna throw one out. I'm gonna throw one out that is gonna seem completely insane, but somebody on Twitter was talking about this today. Suppose somebody comes in for Lanzini, and it's a lot of money. We don't know whether he's going to be the player he once was.
Right.
He could be, to give an American spin on it, he could be Paul George, or he could be the Gordon Hayward. I mean, you don't know which one he's getting. He might not ever come back to being what he was before. We don't know. So if somebody swoops in and says, "I'll give you 35 million, 40 million for Lanzini," whatever, 50 million, whatever it might be,
50.
What do you do?
Yeah, if it's you said 50.
No. Look, the guy's just had a phenomenal injury. He's been thrown back in at the deep end.
Yeah.
He's getting no rest.
Yeah.
He has to be given time to get back into it.
50 million.
I mean, I agree, but at the same time, are we sure he's going to get back into it? Dean Ashton never got back into it.
But the reality situation, if we get £50 million for Lanzini, right? Are we going to buy a £50 million central midfielder? Of course
no.
Not. So in my mind, we'll keep. If he's worth 50 million quid and he can play in the middle, we'll keep him because we're not going to bring in some. I agree. Yeah. We're not going to bring in a £50 million central midfielder. What we'll do is we'll spend £7 million quid on the left back, £8 million over there, £10 million over there.
That's the problem.
You can bring back Darren Randolph.
What? Bring back Carlton Cole. I want Carlton Cole in my club at all times.
Lanzini just hasn't had time to develop.
Not a Wednesday,
I'm random, man.
All of a sudden, breaking news. That head coach.
It's all going to point Dallas. Dallas is falling apart. What's happening there?
Yeah, I know. I'm in my attic still.
It's a very well lit attic.
Yeah,
it is. It is exceptionally well lit. I have to say, we have a lot of lights up here. Yeah, it's also. I mean, I can barely walk in here. There's so many toys. My kids don't clean this up at all, and I don't clean it up. So.
Hey, but Lee, and the Dallas guys, I'll ask everyone a question here, and I ask guys this here and there, but is your expectation that in your lifetime, West Ham?
We good now?
Hang on, I couldn't hear. Hey, Justin, try it again.
Okay. So
Hey, Tim, turn your sound off for a minute. Turn your sound off for a minute.
Hold on a second.
all right. So my question was, can you guys hear me? I was about to do that.
Yeah, you can hear me. Triggered. You got triggered.
Hold on.
So you guys can hear me? Okay. So my question was, is your expectation that in your lifetime West Ham will become a Champions League team with this move?
Not now, but it kind of was when we made it. To be honest, yeah, I kind of thought we would. I don't know why I thought that.
Well, I have a heart condition. I'm due to die in the next couple of years, so probably not.
Well, I'm 45, and West Ham has been around since 1895 in one form or another. And to my knowledge, we've played in the European Cup / Champions League 0 times. not counting Cup Winners' Cup, the old Cup Winners' Cup or UEFA Cup or Europa League, whatever. Actual Champions League or European, either one, 0 times. So I guess it's probably pretty unlikely.
Yeah.
But I bought into what the owners said about moving to the stadium. I mean, I guess fundamentally they just don't have or will not spend the money that we need to compete with an Abramovich or where are they from? Manchester City, not Qatari. I don't know where they're from. Anyway, the oil rich people who own Manchester City or even Manchester United or Liverpool is owned by the Red Sox ownership. They have certainly spent. They're willing to spend. We don't. They either don't have the money or won't spend it, and that's all there is to it. It doesn't matter if we play in my backyard. It really makes no difference until we get the big buyout. That's the only way it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So if it happens, then sure. But I don't think it's going to happen. So I guess the answer these days, the answer would be no.
Boys.
Well, there's always Leicester. What about Leicester City, right? You got that. Once a century.
Tottenham bottled it. Tottenham bottled it. That's what happened.
So, just so you guys know, my computer died. Right? So that's why I was trying to ask a question. Did we talk about the Nathaniel Klein rumor yet, or no? And then my computer died.
No, talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it. I was just asking you. What do you think about the Nathaniel Klein rumor?
I don't even know what it is, so tell me.
So it's the most recent rumor by the Evening Standard, which is one of the most reputable magazines in Europe.
Yeah. Low bar, but
or the Newham London, whatever it's called.
Oh, we lost him. Okay, do you guys know what he's talking about?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, the Klein rumor that they're going to buy Klein.
Left back.
I thought he was right back.
Right back.
Is he a game changer?
Yeah, he's right back, I believe. And I mean, I think we need another right back. I think it's obvious that Zaba's legs are gone. So I haven't really read a lot into it. I don't know the price, that it's rumored to be for. So
do you think the right back is a big need?
Yeah, because Zaba needs
to.
Yeah, Zaba needs to
I'm
go.
not fussed about right back at all.
I'm fussing more about left back, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I think I think Cresswell's been very up and down.
I think Cresswell's a backup.
Balbuena's injury killed us.
And
I agree. Balbuena's injury was the biggest. Balbuena's injury was that and Yarmolenko, but Balbuena's injury might have been the biggest injury we had this season. But if you look at right back, I mean, do you have faith in Aaron Fredericks?
I do. And listen, right back with front foot there.
Yeah,
Oh my phone data.
They're kind of. I can't really. Okay, they go.
If I'm out of his goals, which is probably who knows what Chicharito is doing? A striker for me is the big need in the summer.
Oh, no question. Yeah.
I agree.
Big need.
Totally.
Strikers, yeah, obviously we have nobody up front. I mean, if Arnautovic goes, Chicha can't play by himself up front. We know that. And he's not getting any younger. And, we're not going to score all of our goals from 2 feet away from the from the goal, right? I mean, we can't just have a poacher up there all by himself. We got to have somebody who can score from distance. No, striker's obviously the biggest need. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been super impressed with Fredericks, although he's had games where he was superb.
Right.
Excellent. Against Liverpool, he was excellent. Against Manchester City, excellent. Yeah, he's had games where he's been great. I think Cresswell has